So I need to see early control for Pays and Lehens on that bottom side. Great mid-jungle control with Canyon playing heavily for Chovy, trying to play off that charm into fear, getting the picks this way, and ensuring that Keen can bully through his range advantage
in this tournament. But if you're unable to, you know, put the extra pressure onto Viper with it and make good use, then everyone's just going to go back to, well, look at Yone's stats this tournament. Hello, he's barely lost any games. He's absolutely crushing it, and you're giving it over to Zeka, who loves this champion, already used it to beat you. So and it's also there's a lot of talk I can already see.
Anime protagonist, you're putting in the block and just saying, hey, show me what you've got. And that's kind of where this like Yone edgy guy just gets to show his stuff, right? He wants to be close and personal with you, so you're kind of just setting that up. So curious now to see how GenG want to try and make this happen. I don't think they want to opt in towards a lane swap, but it looks like they're just trying to deny a potential lane swap. But I didn't catch there if Viper was spotted as they moved through.
All right, as we're waiting on minions to spawn, we do want to bring up that our featured matchup presented by Mercedes-Benz this game is right there in the mid lane between Zeka and Chovy. These guys that have had some serious blows back and forth before, even though the all-time record doesn't really favor Zeka. I was looking at some stats before the series today. Zeka's all-time series record against Chovy is 2-16.
Two important ones, though.
Yeah, the two ones that he won were World Semifinals 2022 and then LCK Summer Finals just this split. Two big ones for Zeka to say, hey, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality.
Is it kind of Chad, no? Beat you in some really, really big ones. And of course, we do have the lane swap that HLE have started out. So that means our supports are going to come mid. Actually, we have Keen coming mid, so it's not going to be the support plus, you know, mid laners here for soaking level 2, at least for the side of GenG. And Delight's just going to pass on through and try and peel some of the jungle attempts here from Canyon, since they did have the ward.
Yeah, I don't think GenG spotted that Viper was topside. They only saw Doran, so thought it was going to be standard lane. So GenG had kind of gone for this in finals, where they went for the lane swap, and they played for basically what Delight is doing now, which is playing down towards that bottom side, having your top laner TP into the play. But I think it's a good call from Hanwha, because Keen in a lane swap just not going to do that great, especially on a potential dive. So they kind of have to adjust now on GenG's side.
And it's kind of interesting to me, because a lot of it was in the previous iterations you're talking about, the support actually soaking the full level 2 from the mid lane. But because he went over to Canyon and kind of messes around with Canyon while Canyon's doing jungle, you still have Delight on the level 1 on the rel. And so the defense is going to be a little bit more difficult.
Okay, Doran eating a little damage here, but because Delight shows up in time to keep him protected, I would think that Hanwha would still be all right here. One extra turret shot there onto Keen as Doran transforms back into Mini-Gnar.
But that was the nice adaptation here. Doran wait until he's about to hit Mega Gnar, then TP's bot, so the potential dive on a Mini Gnar is way more difficult. Delight now gets into the bottom lane, hits level 2, and now that completely dissuades the dive. So not only do you have Doran, who's gotten into a great start here, he gets that whole wave, and you can see that XP advantage already for the Gnar.
Yeah, and it was kind of, Delight was like, okay, fine, you know, I don't get my level 2 for it, but then Canyon also wasn't level 3 for it, so then you didn't have the extra threat there, and they kind of domino effect. So nicely done here out of the lane swap. And it should be just continuing on with those sides of the map kind of split and finishing their clears off.
Ooh, Pays forced to flash away there from the crash down of Delight, as he did find the wraparound attempt there on the GenG 80 carry.
Yeah, fake the reset. So traditionally you'd see Delight now reset, go top and match this because of this potential play on Viper.
Oh, Viper trying to get away from it there with a supercharger. Keen down to 250 HP, but Lehens throws out the handshake, forces the cleanse from Viper.
Yeah, but that's where you want that support to be there, so that's why it caught Pays off guard, because you would assume he's going to go back and match that topside play, because now there's no one on the top end of the map to try and catch the potential for this push in. But with Peanut now moving back up towards the top side, they're okay to still soak the wave as Viper. He'll just be a little late on the reset. Look how scared Pays is in the bottom side.
Yeah, he's
been hovering in that bush for a long while.
He's hanging out, man. He knows that there could definitely be some overloading happening on the map in a lane swap type of game. As mid lane, Chovy getting this wave shoved out, wanted to crash it into the tier 1 here, but Delight is to the side.
And as Pays just reset and went back down bottom side, now they have vision of it, so they also reset, and they're going to send Viper back down there into the lane. We'll see if that flash actually ends up getting punished, because Dagda, you mentioned it in Champion Select, but as the game goes later on, that is going to be a very critical flash, and Pays is going to have a very difficult time staying safe with all of this engaged in his face. But even now, after swapping the lanes back and sending Viper right back down here, that is going to be an area of possible attack for HLE. Try and punish Pays on his flash cooldown here while his lane is a little bit more vulnerable.
I'm curious to see how Canyon tries to play this though, because Delight's still level 2, means that it's very difficult to actually play aggressive on this bottom side while that flash is down. So Pays and Lehens can play up, push in this wave, potentially reset and look for the Void Grubs that are spawning in 20 seconds. But there is also an argument to just say, hey, we're going to try and farm it out, just like play it safe, because we don't, with the level advantage for Doran, who's about to take over to 6, having access to those ultimates is actually far more valuable. So I think there's a lot of factors for GenG to try and look in towards this. And for Hanwha, they would rather just keep Viper in that bottom side, because in a 3v3 with both solar laners hitting level 6, they're in a great spot.
Yeah, and Peanut with his level lead over Canyon, because of the early antics there, goes right over the grubs to start those up on spawn.
Yep, and while he's taking those and there's no contest from the other side, remember, a reminder, you can log into your Riot account on lolesports.com and watch Worlds Live to earn exclusive Worlds emotes, icons, and capsules. So go in there, get your stuff, get some prizes the same way that Peanut is securing those grubs right now. And it looks like Canyon is going on to the other side of the rift to take that Drake. It's the common handshake. You take grubs, I'll take Drake. One neutral objective for either side.
This does mean that you are going to get a very early level 6 Peanut, and Peanut is, as you know, an amazing tank frontline player, an amazing Sejuani player. So him with the early ultimate for Sejuani, I think will be very dangerous for GenG. We'll see how Peanut is actually able to leverage that, as Canyon is going to have to play a little bit of catch up here on Nocturne to be able to get access to his ultimate for the counter.
Could immediately go bot here. I think that's why he hasn't reset, because look at Pays, still no flash available. This could be the point of contest with the ultimate hit.
I mean, when I was watching this series yesterday between Hanwha and G2, it felt like such a Peanut gap in the early game, constantly making the plays here on the Sejuani. We'll see if he can repeat it up against GenG. Is hanging around down here, but no opportunity to really do a whole lot against Lehens and Pays. You saw Chovy also potentially going towards the bottom lane, but ended up going back into mid here instead. Still very close gold between the two squads. Nobody really pulling away with a lead thanks to extra wave management or extra rotations that they were managing to find against their opponents, catch them off guard a little bit.
Always fun to see and go over to, you know, the relationships between all of these players on these two teams. Not only was finals a banger, but of course Peanut himself and Delight and Doran, all ex-GenG members, and you know, trying to pay the visit on bottom lane. But respect given and control ward really paid off there, so they got to
even the old
say hi and bye.
Right? Like, there's so many interactions between all these players, and they know each other so well, not only just from playing in finals, but being on several teams together. So I think it's always
the Griffin
so
memories.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why I think it's really interesting. Whenever you see teams like this go up, it just means there's so many layers upon layers of mind games and trickery and everything that's going into this that it always gets so fascinating to watch.
The Korean onion of teams and players constantly unfolding from layer to layer, showing us deeper and deeper connections between these guys. As we still have no kills on the board, 8.5 minutes in. Both teams have been fine with this very quiet early game.
Yeah. I mean, people were even calling Hanwha Life like GenG Orange, you know, and kind of memeing on it. But really, adding the 2 extra world champions really does change the way that a team plays. And everyone's so hype on Viper and Zeka especially. Due to their recent play. Let's see about this one, though. Pays.
Oh, Delight doing a big engage there on Pays. GenG's AD carry ain't getting away from that one. No bailout. Bails you out of that much damage. It's first blood over to Viper.
And that has been the difference. Really big target on Pays back. He's dead, and now no summoner spells again. So the timer continues here. Now you have to really play around. No flash, no cleanse again. It is just going to be a rough game from him, as we kind of already suspected straight from Champ Select.
And hey, Dagda back at Champ Select, you said Delight's probably probably best engaged support in the world right now, and he immediately goes in through both summoner spells of Pays, sets it up, knows where he's going to go through the cleanse and the flash, makes it easy to get that kill.
Yeah, and I mean, you get to see him on so many different champions, because when he started, it was definitely Rakan is his pick, and he will show up on it, but he's really evolved as a player now to things like the Rel, the Alistar, and having a ton of these extra engaged supports, and he just looks so sick on, and you got to see it there, how mechanically strong he is on these picks, and setting up now for Viper with that 1-0 kill. He's got static shiv. He's going to be such a menace now in just controlling this matchup against Pays.
And Peanut is just so crafty, so intelligent, goes right over there. They get the kill, they get the double summoner spells, and he immediately, invests everything into the shield here for the Locket. Early first purchase for him. Second grubs, he's going to head right back over there too. They have their duo lane finishing up with the minion wave, and now that they have a nice low item advantage for Peanut himself, he kind of brushes off some of the damage though.
You do need to try and buy time here because Peanut doesn't have his ultimate up and available, which is why GenG are trying to play off this timing window to attack. Move down from Hanwha life though.
I don't know if they can get all of them though, because that was also Varus ultimate used for the little chunk of damage.
Yeah. All right, second Void Grub is about half HP. Peanut's going to step forward, try to take that one. Meanwhile, down to the bottom lane, Doran trying to get away from Keen. He's down to 100 HP while the Grubs are fought for secured by Hanwha Life, meaning they will get the Void Might spawns.
Exactly. All of it is just depending on at least getting one Grub out of the first pack, and then you still have the threat for the second pack of Grubs. Meanwhile, Keen here, the Aurora pick that we were highlighting, also going to be able to get some extra pressure. Pushes in. This should be a turret plate. Very, very close to getting one. Doran's going to say, no turret plate for you. I'm going to take away your minion wave. Even with that juicy, tiny sliver of health away, Keen can't get it quite yet.
Yeah, wanted to get the potential stun underneath the tower. Doesn't manage to hit. Nicely done by Keen to escape, but it does mean Doran will just reset and move back up to the tower as the top side, because its Dragon is now the big protocol. 10 seconds until that one's available. Zeka's good control over the mid lane, but hasn't gone for that reset quite yet. So I think GenG should be able to get control with Chovy in mid lane, then start to roam down towards his objective. But on the upside, Pays not really in a position quite yet, but should be fine to contest the wave anyway.
All right, Doran just continuing to mine some plates off this top side tier 1 turret. Canyon still behind in pace in the jungle compared to Peanut here on the Sejuani. And I feel like that's a little bit problematic because when you think back to the GenG that was dominant like earlier on in the year, you were thinking about Canyon on these AP junglers just power clearing, outpacing, setting this insane tempo where even if you can outplay GenG, they just still have more money because they farm better. And it's just not the case here anymore.
But he hasn't really had an opportunity to get into any of these lanes because where do you try and focus? You've no real setup in any of your lanes apart from Chovy, and Zeka's been doing fine with Peanut putting pressure on towards sides, and now at the Dragon Pit,
and he's got his experimental hex plate done, so I think we see his first ulti here.
Okay, Delight with a hex flash over the wall. Peanut. Glacial Prison onto the hands, but it ain't going to be a whole lot now. The lights go off. Paranoia goes in. GenG with a kill on Peanut, and this is exactly what they needed. Zeka tries to use Fate Sealed of the wall, but it's an arrow through his heart. The Samurai falls to the Archer. GenG take Drake +2, and they ain't done yet. Keen still scrapping here back and forth as Doran and Delight are both forced back. That was a huge moment for the GenG squad.
Chovy spirit rushed over the wall into the way of the Fate Seal, so Zeka couldn't get over despite him flashing away. Really good stuff from the GenG mid laner, and a great fight for GenG as well.
All right, looks like bottom tower gets teleported on. This is going to be so low though. Can they?
Yeah, Zeka immediately arrives, but now the turret is dead. Zeka goes in 1v3, trying to get the kill on Lehens, but there's not enough damage. Even with the Yone, even with the strongest champ in mid lane, right now, it's not quite there as the tier 1 turret falls. Peanut now stepping into the river. Normally, I wouldn't even bother talking about Peanut doing that, but after last game, we saw some crazy stuff in the bottom side river, so I got to be careful with those.
Yeah, I mean, they still, GenG, yeah, they get the advantage in the team fight, get the extra kill here. They get the bottom tower, more gold there. And topside, they're still going to be able to protect, so they teleport immediately back out with Chovy. They kind of rotate their solo laners here. As Keen recalls, Chovy goes to replace him on the minion wave, and they keep their defenses strong.
And the fact now that you're back out on the map first is crucial for the Rip Tower that's just about to spawn. And we're going to get a glimpse at our MasterCard lane economy snapshot. You can see a lot of the gold is actually on Lehens right now, but it is still GenG are getting like good advantages on the map side. And this is what we were talking about coming through from draft, is GenG needing to outplay on the map and outplay with their macro. And even though it looked a little ropey at the start, they're starting to get control now.
And the thing is, GenG's so calm. Even though Canyon was a little bit behind, he funneled all of his money to make sure he could get his experimental hexplate done in advance of the dragon. And so he gets there, still has his full item. They immediately ult onto Peanut. Him plus Pays able to take Peanut down and secure their second dragon. So dragon stacking game plan still on course here for GenG, plus the extra little bit of gold that they did in advantage as well. And because he's got all that extra ultimate ability haste with his experimental hexplate, his old Nocturne ultimate is ready again, so they go over to next objective, and we'll be able to burn this one down no problem.
Yep. That is gone before Hanwha even has a chance to try to move up and do anything about it. But now Delight needs to be a little bit concerned. Keen is going between worlds, but it's not enough. Delight can still just walk away from it.
But the fact he gets to walk away opens up Doran to go for this pressure on the bot side turret. No TP for Keen or for Chovy, so it should be some damage down, but he did start to roam up towards that mid lane, so I don't think he'll actually be able to get a ton of chunk, and actually even the wave not really in the position, so it doesn't get any work done off the back of that.
Just about 16 minutes into the game, still only 3 kills on the board. Pretty low violence game here in our first one of this best of 3. 26,000 to 26.5 thousand gold, very, very close. Chovy retreating away as Hanwha sends more troops to back up Zeka, make sure he can force down this tier 1 turret, get some more gold in his pockets, unleash the Yone that is on that critical first item power spike.
And Kobe talked about GenG funneling Canyon for that first item. It feels like now Hanwha are just going to funnel Zeka. They know how strong with 2 items in his back pocket this Yone can be, and a massive threat in fights, and especially when it comes towards side lane threat as well. He can threaten Keen, he can threaten Chovy, so as long as these towers continue to fall, Zeka can carry this game.
And he can also threaten Pays. So we'll see if the target on Pays back still continues as we transition towards the team fights. GenG, of course, they also have so many pick options with this comp. It's so nice. Once Nocturne gets rank 2 in the ultimate, you have a lot of ability to cover so many side lane plays. And when you have solo laners that are this mobile with double AP mobile summoners, solo laners here with the Ahri plus the Aurora, then you have a lot of options that make it harder for HLE in some of those. They always have to kind of check, is Canyon going to be hovering bottom or top side? And they really want to have structured battle lines so they can get their combos.
And the other thing that I always think about when I'm looking at Nocturne in a game, especially when you're up against 2 champions that like to play side lanes, that like to split push like a Yone and a Gnar, Paranoia also stops your ability to see the ward and teleport to the ward, so you've got to be there to the objective fight sooner, as now the Herald driven into the tier 1 turret there by Canyon. Doran has to flash back away, but Peanut's ready for the counter attack here with the Glacial Prism, but a nice follow-up comes in from Delight. Over the top goes the hostile takeover. It's already death for the support of Hanwha Life Esports, and GenG are swift to deliver it. Chovy jumps forward with another one of those spirit rushes as Zeka is forced to snap back to his body with a soul unbound. GenG with the 1 for nothing. With the enemy tier 1 turret nearly killed, they're going to go down to the Drake. Meanwhile, Doran taking the opportunity, using the TP to go into the top lane and look to dismantle the tier 2 turret.
The darkness crucial there, and actually recovering the retreat from GenG. Zeka was still pushing top and had to teleport into the play, so he wasn't there as that fight kicked off, wasn't there to follow up on a great engage from Delight. But Hanwha, TP topside, they would get the tier 2, but a third dragon for GenG, 1 stop away from an Inferno Soul.
It's so cool to watch how both of these teams, regardless of the different outcomes of the team fight, immediately just move on to the next step. Even though Hanwha are like, okay, fine, you know, that was a good flash and disengage from Lehens. You guys got the kill there. We are going to immediately transition to our next objective. We know you're going to be able to get dragon number 3, but even though we lost, we're going to still try and get something out of it and try and salvage some sort of consolation prize. But that was a really nice disengage. You know, you mentioned the Nocturne ultimate, but also Lehens, after he flashes, after the stun wears off, he's able to get his Renata ult off too, and they're able to get their little counter.
I do think, though, GenG are not only like a step ahead, kind of 2 steps ahead in a lot of these plays, though, because oftentimes when we're seeing is Hanwha want to try and threaten onto objective. You can look at now, Keen has already pushed in that top side, so creating a point of contention on the map. Chovy was doing the same just as we're starting to set up for Dragon, and it feels like GenG are always quicker off the mark to get towards these lanes, creating pressure for Hanwha, and right now, Hanwha are kind of struggling to keep up. So even though we're saying Zeka in a 1v1 is great, the wave is gone before Zeka even gets there, and Chovy's now drifted to somewhere else, and you're just constantly playing catch-up as Hanwha right now.
And always, when you're looking at who's getting side lanes here, look where Canyon is. It's so efficient for Nocturne when he has the extra range from his ultimate, finishes up his Gromp while Chovy's finishing up the mid wave. They're covering their side that they still have their split pusher on, even though Hanwha can have members there. They're so confident with Ahri ultimate, plus summoner spells, plus Nocturne even hovering around. Like, you just have all of the options kind of covered off, and you take away the possible moves that HLE want to make even before they make them.
And that's the thing, again, is where we just see that play of Nocturne covering bot to get Chovy into position. Well, Chovy then roams mid, they get the mid tower. And also respect from Pays, because this man is playing incredibly safe on the mid wave. He knows how valuable his flash and cleanse are for these fights. He's not even stepping up to finish off the tower there. He's like, no, the minions will do the work. As long as I stay safe, this game we can win it out as GenG, just playing at the map state.
Yeah, so I'm so looking forward to this next big team fight, because HLE, like we said, they've constantly done things to grab money on the map back, even after, okay, you lose a little bit here in one of the fights, or someone, you know, does get picked off. They still have kept enough gold that they can definitely still fight the next big one, and that's really what's going to break it. Like, they even have a couple extra 100 gold here in inventory, and it's in a lot of the right places too, with one of the kills going over to Viper. That Kai'Sa is another Kai'Sa that you have a ton of faith in these team fights. Like, Viper has just been insane, so we'll see what HLE can do on the next one. You have a lot of confidence in their setup. Wait a second, they're gonna have to...
Yeah, GenG's going after the Baron because they saw Hanwha try to make a play on Chovy down there in the bottom lane. So now they're just going to try to force the Baron instead. Chovy teleporting up to join the remaining 4 players on GenG. The paranoia is there to stop an appropriate follow-up. The Baron is secured by GenG, but now they got to try to get everybody else away. Kanan with the flashback over the wall. Hanwha can't do anything. GenG with the 400 IQ Baron rush, immediately recognizing the opportunity and jumping on it.
At the second they saw all those members down on bot side to look for the tower, GenG knew they could take it. You have a Blade of the Rune King, Gwinsu's Varus, who will rip through the percentage health of that Baron buff, and it's a perfect call, even using the darkness again as a retreat tool, because you just don't know what's the health on the Baron, or how heavily can we engage. We don't know where GenG are.
Beautifully done from GenG. Chovy sees that Sejuani coming after him on that little Farseer's trinket. He says, all right, let's go for it. And everybody else starts up the play. Chovy even teleporting to join the rest of GenG before going back to the base to heal up the 40% chunk that he took from Zeka in the bottom lane. They knew to full send it. They get everybody out safely. Beautifully done from GenG now with 45 seconds left on the clock until what will be their Dragon Soul spawns. They've got Baron and control over the Rift.
Yeah, and you were just talking about how them being one step ahead of HLE on these moves is impactful. Like, that was a very big step. They know what your next move is going to be. They try and punish it and are able to actually fully finish off the Baron and then still rotate down to the other side of the map. 20 seconds on this very early Dragon Soul. GenG have been so clean with it, but critical breaking point is about to approach. Again, HLE have at least kept up enough gold.
Oh, wait. Keen jumping in there immediately with the Between Worlds. If they pick the enemy jungler, no way to contest that Dragon Soul.
Oh my God!
Unless Delight goes in for a massive 4-man engage. GenG melts before your eyes. Do not doubt Delight, or you will find yourself in the dirt. A triple kill for Viper, and Hanwha just buried GenG.
Nice macro, kids. How's this Wombo combo taste? That was huge. Delight into Zeka, able to destroy them, and HLE, that also denies the Dragon Soul.
That was beautiful because Peanut panics. He throws everything out and is just like, please, for the love of God, get people off me. But the TP still comes through from Zeka, and a delight. We called it. This engage into Zeka with the follow-up. The clutch moments for Hanwha have been where they've shown off this summer, and it's showing off once again on the world stage.
And Viper's just free-firing on the Kai'Sa there. Sidesteps the Renata ultimate. Able to melt Same, honestly, same.
Perfect facial expression.
That's a perfect meme. Another meme for the tournament, baby.
Team fight damage, man. Over 4,000 from Zeka. Nearly the same for Viper on his Kai'Sa. And now Hanwha Life, after it looked like they were about to lose the Dragon Soul, lose their control over the game. Delight, delight, delight on the Rel. Absolutely clutch in that moment.
Engage King. I mean, what more can you say? Absolutely beautiful. And I always also love and give like extra bonus credit when you pull off an engage in those scenarios where you already just lost a member. But you know, if we just layer our abilities here, we're going to catch multiple and delete multiple enemy members. So even though we're down Peanut, which is supposed to be like the first line of the team comp, it doesn't matter.
But it was even like a reaction test because the darkness comes off and he's like, oh, I got it. It was like immediately, it was like you know, you come off, the blindfold comes and you're like, okay, play this one out. What are you going to do?
It was just beautiful layering too, you know, stun into the full crash down, ultimate, Zeka is immediately following up, and now...
Yeah, Canyon, he'll try to use Paranoia defensively, but it's too late. Viper's already unstoppable. GenG seeing if they might be able to get something back. A handshake on Delight is definitely not enough. As Hanwha Life Esports now with a 5v4 for the next 30 seconds.
Hanwha trying to show it wasn't a flash in the pan and silencing a lot of the doubters. I think Ox probably grinning from ear to ear as he looks again because this has been a great performance from Hanwha, but we did call this when we saw the draft from GenG. They needed to be clinical, they needed to not make mistakes, and unfortunately they group up that one time, and now Hanwha just get to use the strength of their engage, their tanky front line, their great DPS in this Yone and Kai'Sa to blitz through what is a very squishy team from GenG.
Yeah, now they're just a very rich hammer that is going to just force plays.
A gold-plated hammer.
Gold-plated hammer just going to force plays everywhere because they already gave you a taste of the engage, and now they've just got so much extra money on the carries. You know, we're talking about Viper, and he's just free-firing and just eating up extra gold. Now, all of a sudden, the Kai'Sa's shot up to 3 items, and things just even get more bad for GenG. It just really all kind of falls apart now since they are so squishy as a team comp.
And you just said 3, but right after you said it, man,
another
Viper just bought an arm guard, and normally I would call that a half an item. That is the most broken active in League of Legends. That, it might as well be a full item until that thing breaks as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. This dude can now fly in and not give a damn what they shoot back at him.
Yeah, especially with Kai'Sa. You love to see the AD carries that are just jumping into danger, outplaying it at every turn. Let's see. Can GenG do something surprising here, though? They've got a lot of, like, surprise tools. We mentioned earlier the pick potential of Aurora, Nocturne, Ahri, you know, things that you want to try and, like, cobble together, but it's so hard now because your map has just been taken over. And there's not a lot of areas for you to set those plays up. HLE, you can see them very cohesively moving as a team to try and take over Vision and not allow GenG to get their pick now to try and get back into the game.
Oh, immediate jump, the pick on Chovy. You just see Viper fly across the screen, and then the Infernal Pinatas fly out of Chovy. Beautiful pick coming out from Hanwha. Baron is on the map. The enemy jungler dead for 40 seconds. Here's the problem if you're GenG. Not only is that mid lane pick going to mean that the enemy squad gets Baron, Chovy's only going to respawn right before the Infernal Drake spawns again, and Hanwha is going to continue having control over the entire Rift.
And I want to give a shout out to Peanut because he's been playing absolutely insane this game. The picks have been on point. He's dictated the pace of the early game, denying denying Canyon so many of the angles he would like to attack, and he has just been so good at playing with Delight to set up these plays.
Plus, you see the super deep wards. The deep ward in mid lane is what Peanut saw him on. He was like, okay, Chovy's mid, Peanut can get into position, flash over the wall to make sure they can find their pick. Even on a champion as slippery as Ahri, they instantly deleted him. But now, GenG, they want another attempt at this soul.
Okay, Chovy responded in time to be able to make his TP in, as now another TP is about to show up for Hanwha. Doran has rejoined everybody else. Paranoia cast, a charm onto Delight, but he's the only one. Between Worlds has already been used. Doran here in the front line, jumps in from a Mega Gnar, but he ain't gonna find the angle here just yet. Zeka resetting with a soul unbound. Keen's the first to drop. Viper's going godlike. GenG scrambling to fight back, but Zeka's too strong. Viper's too strong. GenG's running towards the wrong base, and Doran's gonna hit him with the wallop. Couple more auto attacks, gets it done. Chovy's about to drop again. Call it a Drake, call it an ace, call it a fight for Hanwha.
Call me the LCK champions. Hanwha showing why they won, why they threatened GenG, and why they want to join LNG in the quarterfinal stage.
We got 15-second death timers still ticking down for the GenG team as HLE are on to the Nexus turrets. They will crumble before them, and Hanwha Live Esports take the first game in the LCK Finals rematch.
Finals ain't no fluke, okay?
Hanwha win draft.
I don't think it's that big of a difference.
No,
I think this one is going to be gameplay for sure.
Okay. Those are my favorite ones,
because
to be honest.
Honestly, there is so much pressure on the side of GenG with the lane team.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's see if GenG can take us to a third game. Remember, the original LCK finals, the summer finals that we had just a few weeks ago, did go the distance all the way to game number 5. We'll see if GenG can take us all the way to the third game here in this one, or if Hanwha is going to be our second team heading to Paris for the quarterfinals, if they can repeat the success that LNG just had with the 2-0. GenG invading enemy jungle here, going to force Peanut back. As Lahens and Keen step far forward into the chicken brush. Looks like Hanwha Life not super interested in this.
Yeah, nice full jungle takeover there for GenG to be able to suss out any early spread play here from HLE, but HLE, ooh, quite gets it. Okay, does find the ward. On World Patch 2, the wards still give a little bit of experience. So nice little boost there for Zeka plus the bottom lane. And the ward left behind on the red buff here by GenG will suss out that it is going to be bot side start for Peanut. And Vi also, kind of like Nocturne, is almost always going to go for the full clears unless, like our first series of the day, you have a specific matchup that has CC in it that is going to bring you there. It was a beautiful, deviation from normal play to go up there, play off of the Renekton stun, and get it. But should just be full clears for both junglers to opposite sides.
The only argument I have against it is if Peanut wants to try and get in towards that top side to maybe burn a flash from Keen and help out Doran. But I mean, you can see at the bottom of your screen how very dominant GenG has been in this matchup domestically. So Hanwha looking to really upset the apple cart once again here on the world stage.
Yeah, I mean, Hanwha put a stop to the early talk of GenG talking about their golden road even. You know, really big combo breaker here that Hanwha were able to pull off in finals, and they're not stopping. They want to do it at Worlds as well, with already being a game up.
Gentlemen, we're talking about the past right now. I am just so much loving the present because there is no lane swap. That is always a blessing here in a game of Modern League of Legends, as once again, our reminder, Mercedes featured matchup, the mid lane, Chovy versus Zeka, the Ahri. Last time around, the Yone reigned supreme, as he has done in most matchups so far in Worlds. This time around, Ahri versus Akali.
And sorry to take you to the past again, Flowers, but that featured matchup does have roots in, you know, semifinals of Worlds, and Zeka taking us back here with the Akali as well, back to when he did get the World Championship for himself. Of course, the early stages against Chovy's Ahri are going to be a little bit difficult, getting pushed in a bunch, and the Ahri also going the Grass Spear, stacking that up.
Ooh, Doran with the flash, but Keen immediately flashing back away as Peanut was going top looking for the angle.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of expecting, to wait for Peanut to come in. You try and look for the slow with the Harpoon, and then maybe you can get a flash from Keen and keep Doran's, because then you've got a bit more kill potential from Doran if you do land an electric Harpoon on towards Keen. But just flash for flash burn to that top side, and you still got Peanut who's just going to look for the reset now. But I do want to go back towards the conversation, because I think Zeka, 2022, we look and go, oh, well, it was like Akali's and Silas's in the meta, and that's why Zeka really popped off. But he has really grown as a player over this last period, where he has started adding tons more to his champion pool. Like, he looks insane on picks like the Azir. He looked great in the AD carry meta. This guy has come in as an all-rounder now, as just a very, very competent and strong mid laner that you always have to fear.
Hens backing up a little bit here as Delight found that Shattering Strike on him, but HLE pretty much undeterred down here in the bottom lane Farm Fest.
So nice little pings too. You can always see GenG tracking enemy jungle. Of course, they know it was bot side clear for Peanut, and it was going to be very standard for Vi, but it was perfect timing there. You see the blue ping immediately on Gromp. They know he's going for his re-clear of his second path. So bot lane also knows, hey, you know, it's a possible hover there. So they get pushed in. They don't want to do anything crazy right now to draw any extra attention. And it kind of keeps that semi-timer on enemy jungle so that you know where he's going to go in the future.
The Hens with the engage on Viper, forcing out the cleanse, dropping the ignite on him as well. Viper can walk off without needing to use the flash, but he is pretty hurt now from the aggro of GenG here in this bottom lane. The power of Kalista with any sort of an aggressive support is always scary in these early duels.
I think that also sets up then for them to start to look for a rotation here, because you push in bot, you've just seen it there, they can rotate up towards these early Void Grubs too, and Keen should be able to push out this wave and just nicely continue this objective control that I think GenG really want to get rolling, especially when you can play heavily through all three lanes. Void Grubs become so nice for turret takes, but Delight cause, just gotta step away.
Yep, he's fine.
Meanwhile, the mid lane matchup that we were just looking at, and I like how the analyst has touched on how good Zeka is, especially in the early stages of the melee versus range matchups. Did quite nicely with his CS versus Chovy's Ahri on the Yone, and also was trying to keep up pretty well here on the Akali. A little bit difficult, of course, and taking a slight deficit, but still getting back to lane and into the level 6 point where Akali finally does, you know, have some possibilities of joining some of these fights, where Peanut's actually trying to sneak away one of these grubs real quick.
Yep.
Grabs one without having to use his smite, by the way, which is so key for the first grub pack. I don't know if he'll actually try and go right back and steal one away, but sometimes you can kind of wrap around and steal one away, see if enemy jungler use their smite, but he's not even going to go check. The job is done. You just need one, again, out of the first pack to put the threat of 4 on second pack.
And I think he's just going to move down over towards this dragon. Even though you look at the reset coming through from Viper, they know that FaZe has just gone for the reset themselves, so they're just going to match Zeka. Goes aggressive on towards Chovy.
Yeah, using that smoke screen to continue pushing forward, but with Lehens and Delight both joining in. Now Zeka's got to try to be a little bit more careful. Perfect execution to get himself back away to the safety of his own turret. But Akali now with half HP and no flash will not feel confident trying to go down and join this fight for the Drake. So that means Peanut's just got to give it up as GenG walks their troops in and secures this objective.
That is so massive for GenG, and big credit to Lehens for positioning and timing and being there to be able to get Zeka's ult on the Akali plus the flash. Means you now don't really have to worry about any of the early burst damage and early possibilities of even getting you know, money to snowball into the Ahri. Plus, you chase them off the objective trade there. They get the extra grub as well as the dragon. Thanks for the leash, Mr. Peanut. But they already got mid-priority first, and mid-priority very, very, very frequently does translate into those neutral objectives. So nicely kind of cascaded from mid lane by GenG here to once again put themselves into a position to control the Dragon stacking.
And Lehens was so impressive yesterday as well with his ability to be in the right place at the right time, catching out so many members of the enemy team, like wrapping around the back of that Baron pit to set up so many of these early engages and get GenG into that strong point, but might need to double check himself.
Okay, Lehens trying to get back away from this one. Shattering Strike, not connecting there. Lehens doing a good job staying just slightly above the hitbox.
Learned from the last game.
I love a little perfect sidestep there. Able to avoid as well. So honestly, very nice stuff here again in the opening session for GenG. As far as the objectives are controlled. Canyon again farming here on the Nocturne, trying to get up to his experimental hexplate as quickly as possible, trying to hit that breakpoint just before the next dragon, and seems to be on pace.
All right, still pretty calm early game, similar to last time around. The team's just not interested in all the PvP angles, instead just farming it up, getting to the point where they feel like they're better suited to find some of those bigger fights, I would suppose. GenG with a nice early lead, though, about 800 gold or so.
But that's what we are kind of expecting from GenG coming into this fight. You have 3 pushing lanes, just let them do their thing and start to get these lane advantages, and you can see the CS numbers are coming through for them in every single lane with those advantages. So just take it slow, play for push, play for void grubs, reset, come back out, then use those void grubs to threaten towers, look for your next dragon. Everything on GenG is already laid out as a very easy roadmap to follow. It is on Hanwha to try and find ways to disrupt that, and that has to be on Pinos. He has this Vi, has the level 6 or the ultimate available. Look for a play on towards Pace, try and burn some of these early summoner spells, and maybe then that gives you that window to take the advantages out of GenG's hands.
And that's something that we were already talking about in game number 1, is Peanut is definitely the guy who can make those plays happen. He can find those angles, he can find those engages. It's just, can they manage to do it in time to make sure that GenG doesn't build this lead up into something that's too formidable to make it work out the way they want it to work out, to be able to just have the advantage off of the angle and the extra timing alone of getting that engage that you need. Zeka continuing to farm up here in the mid lane. You really want to see that Akali hit his big first item spike as well, being the melee champion, being the assassin. Very important to not fall behind.
And I really want to highlight all of the vision work that GenG do. It's such a good setup here for the second pack of grubs, where we know there's going to be emphasis on those grubs. The desync timer there with the dragon, they've got fully warded up behind and leading to it. Plus, they have the mid lane control, so it's just like really nice setup here to again secure a lot of these early objectives for themselves, and they'll easily be able to get to at least 4 for themselves, probably 5, since nobody is heading over for HLE. And HLE, once again, trying to do the cross map instead. Exactly. Don't even want to try and fight you on it. And they'll go for some turret plate money bottom.
It's still Jin though. And even with the demolish that's coming through from Delight, they are very slow at taking these towers. So in the grand scheme of things, you're still happy enough to take this trade as GenG. And then you can just start to look for, hey, Dragon's up in a minute's time. Okay, let's, well, steal away some camps as Canyon, but then reset, back out of the map, threaten a potential tower in mid, and you're always playing on the back foot here as Hanwha because of the 3 pushing lanes.
Yeah, especially because later into the game, the extra grub with the Void Might there spawning is really going to help out the double AP splitting with the threat of the Nocturne covering, so they can try and seamlessly transition into that game plan as well much later into the game. Let's see about the setup for that dragon that you mentioned, though, because that is the area that HLE kept their vision in, and they do have the bit deeper of the ward there through jungle. Lehens, though, moving right in, on schedule, ahead of dragon arrival, clears out the critical brush there that has determined so many dragon teamfights. Try and set himself up with a good position to engage.
Hanwha could try and go for some sort of cross map, but I'm kind of keeping my eyes on Delight because it feels like he's going to be the arrow that points the direction that they want to go. You do have already opening up a mid for Viper, but with Peanut on bottom side, it looks like Hanwha aren't really in a position to go for anything. Even Keen resetting as well to deny them any sort of dive potential, but yeah, just Hanwha not really in a position to do anything.
It's an easy second Drake for GenG. 5 grubs to 1, 2 Drakes to 0. A very, very modest gold lead, but still, everything in the first 12.5 minutes of the game is going their way, still with 0 kills for either side on the board, as GenG now with a 3-man push in the bottom lane, looking to mine some more plate money away, as Zeka's already in the smoke, but with that defensive cooldown used with Solar Flare finding him, it's such an easy first blood for GenG. Zeka thought it was enough to stay safe, but it wasn't. Now a flashback over the wall from Peanut, while Doran can't find the kill on Chovy. Hanwha thought they might have seen a counterpunch there, but GenG gets away from it.
Great job from Lehens to lock down Zeka in that shroud. Peanut steps forward.
Oh, hold on now. Between worlds, Peanut could be in a little bit of trouble, but Viper's coming down to look to help him. Doran with a flame spitter, but instead, it's just another death. This time for Peanut. Delight wants to go in. Lehens finally drops. Viper gets the kill, and the curtains are called. Keen sniped down again. A double kill back over to Viper. Zeka shows up. The cavalry has arrived, and GenG overstays their welcome.
GenG got duped. They thought they were the ones with the advantage, trying to push through, seeing if they get just a smidgen more of those kills in their favor. But it's actually Hanwha, whoever turn it around, with some great shots raining down from Viper.
Yeah, I mean, GenG win the first fight and come out so ahead, and they even are like, oh great, we got another follow-up pick. But they have to call it just after that, you know. Lehens goes in, and they actually flash away to avoid it. Viper getting a double kill off this could be problematic, but even Zeka, who on the Akali died so early on the tower dive, also gets gold at the end of this super long extended. I love this guy.
Dude, I love his reaction so much.
Zeka still getting some money though at the end of that, and Zeka actually had a ring as well, so a couple extra stacks there on the Dark Seal.
I think as well the fact that Peanut had Sunder Sky completed was huge, because they try to burst him out and he just gets the shield off of his passive and the Sunder Skies proc, which makes it really difficult to take him down and just buys that little bit of extra time. But this is still a GenG favored map, and the Mascot lane economy snapshot showing that Viper with that static shiv very far ahead of Pays, but how much can this Jhin do against the onslaught of GenG?
All right, here comes the Rift Herald. The Herald alone won't be able to kill the turret, but a Demolish proc plus a charge, that is the end of the road for the Tier 1 turret here in mid lane. First turret taken for the side of GenG. Hanwha had already secured the one in the bottom lane for themselves. The Hens drifting. Boom! Right into the turret. The last little bit of damage will get it done. Then Zenith Blade back onto Zeka to try to get himself away. Canyon covering his retreat there with a paranoia. Nicely done from GenG to get a 2-for-1 deal on that Herald summon.
Lehens is such a Chad. Holy! 5-head driving through enemy jungle to get the back door on the bot turret there. Takes it, gets out alive. Extra bonus objective there. Now that's what you call efficiency.
That's how you drive a Rift Herald, man. When they first made this change in the game, we saw so many people wreck the Herald into a wall or drive it a little bit silly. Everybody's got their license now. Everybody knows how to drive this thing, and Lehens might as well be a professional at it. This guy knows how to maneuver that Herald through enemy territory. GenG, still though, they're only 500 gold ahead, despite the fact that they've had the lead for the longest time in the game because of that counterattack that Hanwha had underneath the Tier 1 turret earlier. It's still so close.
I think the difference though is now GenG have 2 of those outer towers down, and they get to just use these aggressive lanes now to push Hanwha back further and further on the map, then drift up towards this top side, take the top tower, and then just continuously keep them pushed back. Third Dragon though, now in 45 seconds, will alleviate some pressure where Hanwha can maybe find success of a fight with Lehens.
He's fine. He's chilling. He's Leona. It's all right.
He's a very lonely Leona though, so I got a little nervous.
Leona. Well, luckily he's got some buddies now. He can get back to the safety of Chovy right next to him. Hanwha going to take the opportunity, just get this mid lane shoved up. Oh, unlucky for Jhin. Deadly Flourish missed just by a sliver. But, oh well, Doran farming a bottom lane here now on the Rumble as well. Does have his Proto Belt, is level 12, so he has the second level of the ulti. We know that Rumble is a mid-game team fight monster, and I want to see if HLE can find an angle to really get the most out of that.
And Viper himself, even though he used his flash offensively in that bot side play to collect the extra kill, his flash is going to come off cooldown just a couple seconds after Dragon, so it's going to be ready.
Ooh, the deadly flourish there on Canyon forces him to use Paranoia defensively, as now HLE has all 5 players here in the bot side river. They know that GenG took the first 2 Drakes. They don't want to give them the soul point, not on an Infernal map especially. So now HLE overloading this part of the map means they're going to secure the Drake, and GenG are saying, fine, take it. They want to go and trade the tier 2 turret back in the mid lane at the same time, but it ain't going to work out so well as the Hens tries to get away, but he's locked up, beat down, finally saved by Pays, who uses that Kalista ultimate to keep his teammate around. Zeka goes in, perfect execution over the wall, but it's not perfect enough. Zeka just barely misses the damage and throws his own life away.
They thought that with the Paranoia down, Hanwha would have an advantage. GenG tried to trade for mid-turret, but the overextension from Zeka, hoping to get a couple more kills, ends up just gifting one back to GenG and sets them up for the top lane tower as well.
And those are the benefits of really quickly moving on to the next objective. You know, GenG are like, all right, fine, we don't have an Nocturne ultimate, we're not going to chase you, we're not going to mess around with you at Dragon. They immediately went mid lane to push on mid lane, and then as soon as the rest of HLE are rotating over, they kite backwards, and even with it getting a little dicey, Len's taking a large amount of damage before the Kalista ult came in, it just even kind of acted as bait there, as they're able to flash over the back of Baron Pit, draw them in, and even come out with an extra kill on top of the top tower that Aurora is able to get.
3-3, 32.6 to 30.7 in the gold. Next Drake not going to spawn for a few more minutes. Baron will be alive in 40, but the game is so close, I don't really see anybody rushing towards it. We talk about Baron rushes and stuff like the previous game where we had a Varus with Bork and Ginsu. Kalista with lethality items versus and a Jhin just being Jhin. Neither one of those going to do the same level of rushing on a Baron, I don't think.
Yeah, I think this is where all you really want as GenG is to use the pressure Nocturne creates in the map. You have a push-in boss. You can already see Canyon is just kind of babysitting Chovy a little bit as he gets that lane pushed in, but he's always pressuring both bot and mid, which is opening up then for the pressure on mid to alleviate in towards Keen on top side, and continuously just moving across all these 3 lanes, making it nearly impossible for Hanwha to really contest you. And at that stage then, you get the vision you need in the jungle to then actually pull the trigger with this Nocturne ultimate. Or even if you don't for the next 3 minutes, you still get so much control for the likes of that Dragon or any other objective on the map. So I think the slow and steady will continue for GenG here.
GenG with all of those gold leads in every role except for the marksman role. Going back to what I was talking about in game number 1, remember when these guys are so dominant in their league, when they are running the show, it's because they're outpacing everybody. Back in the era of the AP junglers with the AD mids, back in the era it was just turbo farm, turbo farm, turbo farm. They're really good at setting that pace and making it so hard for opponents to keep up with them. It feels like you're drowning. Even if you're even in kills and the fights feel pretty close, these guys are constantly just pushing the needle ever so slightly further and further ahead.
And again, in this game, setting themselves up so ahead in the objective area. Now, someone just needs to message them, hey, don't group up in front of Delight, even if you get a kill.
Remember, Rel is in the game.
Just remember, don't get jumped on there. And as long as you're able to do that and leverage the tools that you guys are talking about, they should be able to have these incremental advantages with the extra leverage of threat of Nocturne ultimate on these side lanes pushing to be able to get small leads here and there to be able to push in and get the positioning that they want. Again, the deeper wards are all theirs. They're the ones with the ward behind Raptor Pit, behind Red Pit here. Even as Delight's trying right now to clear as much as he can, there are still angles here for GenG. So they can see you coming ahead of time and really set up their plays.
I think even just getting a second item onto Canyon would be super nice as well. With a minute left on towards the next objective, these second item breakpoints are going to make such a big difference, especially when you look at, oh well, Viper now picking up his second item. You Shadow Flame kind of almost there for Zeka, but I'm not entirely sure how much gold he has. But this is where these little moments of small incremental advantages can come back to break the game open for GenG.
That's what really the gold lead comes down to, right? It's like, okay, you can be X amount of gold ahead, but if it doesn't result in a meaningful item difference, then the fight's still going to more or less just come down to who's got the execution. Second fully completed item, 14, you've got the Cosmic Drive, you've got the Leandries. This Aurora can be an absolute menace if she's just allowed to do the damage in the middle of the fight. The range, of course, always being the issue. You got to make sure you don't get caught out, don't get put in a spot where you can just get exploded.
All right, they're fighting the good fight, trying to clear out some of the extra vision leading up, trying to retake their own territory. It's always dangerous re-moving in, but Delight is able to do it, even finally gets the ward onto the Baron. I mean, for the majority of the year, GenG was credited as being the best macro team in the entire world, and they're still just continually setting themselves up for success.
And I think his little understandings of how they can get those advantages, even looking at Pei's build, he's gone for this Lethality Callista, which is all for, I get push on mid-wave and I clear these waves very quickly, but less of a massive threat when it comes towards these team fights. So I think that's why GenG still need to be a little nervous as they enter in towards this very dark dragon area.
I mean, basically everybody in this game is pretty squishy. We've got some tanky targets, you know, the Leona, the Rel, the Vi, but there's a lot of very viable kill targets, even on both teams. So let's look at the setup here once again. Always spot Delight. Lehens chases him out.
Zeka setting up for maybe a pincer attack here. Delight's going to be stunned up at the very start of the fight. He tries to get away, but he's sent into the fear. He's sent into the graveyard. Canyon grabbing the first kill there as now he has to disengage. Hanwha Life have already lost their clutch factor. They have no way to try to approach this fight now.
Yeah, actually so smart. Lehens just runs straight at Delight. They push him out of the brush. Immediate Nocturne ultimate. They immediately jump on him and take away all that possibility of the setup. Beautiful stuff here from GenG to even get themselves to a soul point pretty quickly into the game, considering they gave up one of the Infernal Dragons and they're not even done.
Ooh, Doran with the flash over the wall to try to escape. But as soon as that summoner spell is down, Aurora's going between worlds and Doran is trying to get all the way back to safety. Peanut down to 100 HP. Pace jumps forward with a beautiful shot from the Pierce to take him down.
Doran didn't realize he was backing on a ward and didn't want to blow that summoner spell early because Flash is the only way he can get out of that Aurora ult. And as soon as he does, Keen picks him off and they say, or well, sets up for the pick, and it's actually they turn on to Peanut to actually finish off the jungler from Hanwha instead.
GenG looking good here in the second game, now on Soul Point in 4 minutes. An Infernal Soul threat on this team could be absolutely harrowing for HLE, but they're having such a difficult time getting close. GenG getting so much value out of this Nocturne ulti like you're talking about. Every single time there's one of those big moments. And these guys are so good at team fighting, both teams, that just that little bit of extra pause that you have to have because it's so dark, I feel like is making such a difference in HLE not being able to respond to GenG.
And we've got some, you know, pretty big gold leads now really layering up here on GenG. Mid and jungle looking quite nice here. Chovy is back on the Ahri, and Chovy has some extra damage to work with. The picks are definitely going to be hard for HLE to avoid, and really if you're looking at the comeback play, it's going to have to be another huge team fight at one of the objectives to get themselves back into this game if they are going to do so, and they don't have a lot of time to do that with.
Right. Deadly Flourish only hits the Lehens. Not really that big of a deal. Peanut now jumping in for a little bit more. Pays could get caught out. Popping the cleanse, trying to get away to the blast cone. Pays still alive for now. They're trying to dive into him. They finally get the shutdown, but now Zeka's got to be careful. Equalizer comes down over the top. Chovy trying to escape. Zeka sure he can flip. Ain't going to find the target. Chovy gets away between worlds. Coming down here for GenG. Double go back over to Canyon. It's too dead on GenG. It's too dead on HLE.
Or the moment.
And Zeka is trying to get away. Canyon with the flash in for the fear. And Keen won't let him get out. The weirding just puts him into the dirt as a TP puts GenG right back in a spot for more objectives, more gold, and more of a lead against Hanwha.
Hanwha committed so much to try and make that fight happen, but GenG more than happy to take it back against them. The TP comes in from the Akali on the bottom side, And Pino tries to get the connection here until Hens doesn't quite hit, then goes forward on towards Pays, but Zeka goes over the wall, misses his E, his shuriken flip, so doesn't immediately get back onto Pays, has to use the perfect execution to get back into the fight, and then just doesn't have a huge amount of damage to try and finish this off. The equalizer does a lot of work, but Keen is able to focus down the light. Viper is playing catch up this whole fight, trying to see if he can get into position. But with Canyon and Keen there, he just can't really get the damage off he wants to.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plan there was get the ultimate onto Pays and immediately delete him. But as you say, when you break that combo, if you don't hit the E, not going to be able to do it quick enough. And then GenG punished so quickly. Nice response from them. They even got an objective in addition to chasing down the extra kill.
GenG, 4,000 gold ahead, 90 seconds until the next Drake spawns, and it just feels like the opportunity for HLE to come back into this game is disappearing minute by minute. Lehens unafraid to walk up and set that ward down. As you can see, HLE again forced back, trying to defend the tier 2.
Delight trying to hide on the bush there at the back. You can see Chovy was checking it with all of his spells, but doesn't quite hit. But eventually they get the ward down. Delight has to back away. But it's Keen pushing in this top side, spreading Hanwha thin across the map once more. And with Dragon in 50 seconds, you've already got the control you need as GenG to pick up that soul for yourself. Hanwha desperately needs something. Maybe that Infinity Edge for Viper is enough, but they need so much to work in their favor in this next fight.
Well, let me remind you of a game state just an hour ago where GenG was poised to essentially lock the game in for themselves. They had a great pick. They were heading towards the soul, and then Delight changed the entire momentum of the game. I feel like if you're GenG right now, that's got to be in your mind, and they know they need this approach to be clean with 15 seconds left on the timer before that soul spawns.
It's funny because I know that play is going to be reference all tournament long now. Here we go.
You better believe it. But Canyon popping the paranoia. Solar flare lands. They found a lot of damage under the light. It's hard to find a counterattack like that. And Pays gets the kill. Now he's got to be careful because Peanut and Zeka are ready to take him down. Viper getting away on the top half of the fight at the same time. But GenG is just cutting through everybody. Keen gets back away across the veil. The shutdown on Viper. And GenG get it done.
GenG are out for blood. They're out for vengeance. They killed Delight first every single time now. Wait, Lehens is Leona. He's tanky enough. It's fine. Doran wants to get out.
Doran going crazy there looking for Chovy. All right, that's...
He knows the game is slipping away, and so he wants the miracle play. You know, he wants to be able to try and do something crazy to bring it back. But again, GenG, Nocturne lights out. Leona ult stuns up the Rel. They go immediately onto it. Just Lehens is like, fine, Delight, you beat us last game, really nicely played, but we are going to take you out.
It's also just Keen on the back line. He puts so much threat onto Viper because everyone is diving forward, but he just locks Viper up. Viper flashes up the wall, he follows over. Dornan is late to going back towards him. And you can see he never gets to open up with the curtain call. That's how that Jin is supposed to operate in this composition. Everyone goes forward, he stays way back in safety and just fires from afar, but it's Keen putting that pressure, disrupting the Hanwha game plan.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of value out of the Aurora pick. Plus, this time around, GenG, in order to enact this game plan, did not give away the Yone. So the Yone card is also not in the game.
Very important card.
Since GenG was on blue side this time around. And looks like this Baron here should be burned down. HLE, time is really running out for them, so you know their desperation meter is just like through the roof now. We kind of already saw it with the Doran play, but you know, they're just like any sort of play that even looks half good, we should just go for it.
I mean, half is better than the chance that you're going to have just sitting and giving everything over to GenG at this point, as Keen can immediately just walk back away as soon as he sees HLE trying to defend these brushes, defend this vision. Elder won't spawn for another 4.5 minutes, but for the next 2.5, it's Baron in possession for GenG.
Yeah, and I think the problem is you're just so far behind as almost everyone apart from Viper on Hanwha that it's impossible to fight back. You're a full item behind on jungle and mid. They're playing with so much confidence, Canyon and Chovy, knowing that they are basically untouchable for a lot of this unless Delight has some miracle play. So for the moment, Hanwha desperate to make something happen, but I just think they're running out of time.
Keen just putting in the work on the tier 3 turret, all alone, all by himself, all uninterrupted. That tier 3 turret's already gone. Canyon's over the wall, ready with a paranoia. GenG just waiting, biding their time. They know they don't have to force anything. The game favors them so heavily at this point. HLE still just scrambling, trying to defend.
And how frustrated is this got to be as Hanwha? Like this slow, methodical pace from GenG, where it's a death by 1,000 cuts, and now those cuts continue to rain down as you're underneath the tower.
There it goes. The dive is ready to go in. Delight tries to make the miracle happen, but GenG are not believers here today. Doran getting dove by Lehens. A little bit more damage would get it done, and finally the burn seals the deal. GenG, they might have lost Lehens, they might have lost Canyon, but they get the tier 2 turret. They get +1 on the kills in the fight.
Again, even with the tower there, they'll go straight through the front line. Gets a little dicey as they dive really deep, and the tower is still standing for the beginning of that fight. But in the end, still further progressing their march towards the Nexus. Still get the tower, get the extra kills too, and here it is. They actually got them both with the weirding, caught Viper in it too, and so Canyon went into the back of it to try and put the extra pressure onto Viper, and then it gets a little dicey as far as keeping him in, and Lehens tried to follow, and because Lehens is able to have the Ignite there, and actually finishes off the extra kill onto Doran, they are still able to move forward with it.
His coach's expressions are just fantastic.
Yeah, it's really great.
I kind of forget about the game as soon as he pops up, because like, oh, what's going to happen?
It's like, oh,
Because you know it's going to be good. As soon as it's on screen, you're like anticipating, oh, what's it going to be this time?
Whether they're winning or losing, whatever's happening. All right, we've got 10 seconds left on our Red Bull Baron power play here. It's plus 3,500 for GenG, which is a really solid gain for that objective. And now it's sub 2 minutes until the Elder spawns. I feel like if you're HLE, this is it. It's a Hail Mary play at Elder Dragon. It's the one thing that could bring you back into a spot where you could win the fight if you steal it away or something. Other than that, this one's pretty much zipped up for GenG.
I mean, we all expect GenG to finish out this game and to win, but if you are on comms on the side of HLE, I would try and proffer the idea of Peanut go in front of Delight, because Peanut is Vi and you can use your ultimate to actually still get the engage and go immune. Even if they go on you, you can try and immune some of their CC, but Peanut really has to step in front of Delight, I feel like, to be the first layer of it, because fight after fight after fight, GenG are just taking out the Rel before Rel gets to have any sort of effect. And so even though your chances are very low and you're so far behind, you're out itemized, I think you have to try and like immune the go from GenG to try and get your own opening.
Sure, but guys, we have a problem. There is a lot that's there.
So what you're
them
telling
safe.
me is to go for the one that doesn't have an immunity?
Yeah, kill
So
the
you're-
hens and just fingers crossed. Hopefully it's the best.
All right,
'Cause everyone else
Rocket
is coming back.
Redemption Leona. That's the target. Okay. That's the name of the game. Well, it is total control over the enemy jungle here for GenG. They will steal the enemy blue buff as well. They'll sit down all this vision. The Elder's going to spawn in 30 seconds. You can see the recall for the Rabadon's death cap from Keen, who now teleports back to join up with the rest of the team. Nearly full build Aurora, nearly full build on the Ahri. Keen jumping away there from the deadly flourish. HLE trying to make their approach. Delight's got to be careful. He does not want to eat a bunch of damage before he makes his way in for the hard engage. Another deadly flourish flies out. Doesn't get a whole lot. Doran getting chunked by the damage potential of Chovy and GenG.
Yeah, I mean, the poke is so problematic that it looks like Doran's actually going to recall for his teleport back now. He gets a vision ward on him, so he does cancel it.
Yep. Oh, Lehens immediately with a flash engage going after Viper, but he ain't gonna find the kill that he wants, kill that he needs. Keen with a rampage on Peanut as GenG are way too strong. 3 for nothing. The Viper makes it 4. Zeka tries to escape, and GenG with a clean fight here at the very end. They do not need an Elder. They don't even need Zeka. They just want him to send a message. Canyon gets back away, and there it it is. Lahens ends HLE, and Chovy's pushing the minion wave into the base.
What a game for Lahens too, this one. GenG, the steamroller, going to even this one up and take game number 2.
All that's left is the structures falling down. I'm so glad our LCK Finals rematch is not just going to be a clean sweep. GenG ties us up.
Bottom side and scale into that late game, whereas they just couldn't get any sort of wiggle room in that last game number 2.
% win rate Twitch is the pick here in this deciding game for who's going to quarterfinals now and who's got to keep fighting as we move forward in the Swiss stage.
Oh, he's hiding.
Back on the blue. Oh, he's already there. Pay's just creeping around. All right, nothing to be found.
I thought he'd open up, but they didn't want to give away too much. Now Pays will just kind of wander away from this one, but I do think the downside of Twitch is that you don't have as much push in the lane when you look at comparative, especially the hail of blades on this Varus. Looks like it will be Poke Varus that we're going to get as well. So
cooldown on his Q should be up. They could go again.
I don't know how heavily you want to go on this though. I think it is just to try and spot out a potential lane swap again, maybe, but I don't think you want to hyper aggress here. I think it's actually, GenG were going for the lane swap because, again, I think your lane phase as Twitch just isn't strong at all here.
Just go ahead, give it up, trade that off, play for more of the later stages.
Yeah, I mean, your scaling is so good with Twitch. When you pop your ultimate, your range, very, very useful against what HLE are showing here. So definitely agree with it. Let's see how much they have to give up. Seems like no one is even going to stick around and try and steal away a camp from the enemy side. They're just agreeing, fine, lane swap, should have even jungle start, both of them just on their own, quote-unquote, own Raptor side of the map, with top side there for GenG being their control with the duo. And again, they have done the normal supports mid here to get their level 2 top laners with their AD carries.
I do think, though, that the introduction of Smolder into the mix here has kind of put a bit of a timer on towards GenG. Like, yes, Twitch has great scaling, but I do think this Smolder just pops off so well in the later portion of the game, especially with the lockup in the front line that Hanwha have that GenG are missing. You need something to go your way early to maybe even set a pace to turn into this assassination Twitch instead. Otherwise, I think in that mega late game, I do favor Hanwha in this situation. And when GenG were playing so slow, so methodically in the last game, I think they actually need a bit more burst opening in this game.
I don't know. I love Twitch late game. I think I'm just going to fully invest. I'm going all in.
Okay.
I'm like, Twitch with range late game just feels so... Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, Lahens walking down here underneath the tier 1 turret, but the teleport will arrive. Keen level 2 here on the Aurora, but man, Keen is in some trouble. He flashes away, tries to use the weirding to keep himself alive. Delight survives the damage of the turret, and that's already a 1-0 for HLE here in the early game. They're about to make it 2. Peanut at least dies to the turret, so there's 1 traded back, but the play goes positive for HLE.
And this is why I was talking about the advantages for Hanwha. This is such a squishy team from GenG. Even on the rotation down, yes, you've got Lahens there, but this Aurora offers nothing, and now already a phenomenal start for the Hanwha squad.
My real big question after this is, what is Peanut gonna do now? Because he actually goes down here, and since they did do their own side clear first, Canyon has a bunch of camps to pick up. We're watching the replay now. It's really nicely done on the first dive to juggle the tower aggro. It's only here in the second one that they give up number 2. Lahens is able to lock up Mr. Peanut under tower, and since he has Ignite late, but I really want to get back to live and see what's done with the jungle camps. Yeah, this is what I'm expecting, because Sejuani cleared his own red side first and then went for the dive immediately. Canyon got to cross over, and Canyon's going to have a very nice lead on jungle here, and especially with a Nocturne, that can cause, again, your whole team to have to pay that price. So while you do get the dive off, and the first kill was without response, getting the second kill, plus it actually gave over some jungle advantages there. GenG, like, it's not all bad.
Yeah, I think Canyon is the big benefactor for GenG, but for Hanwha, Viper coming in, serrated Dirk already completed, gives him a ton of control on this bottom side. The only upside, I think, for GenG in the spot side matches is you're playing against the Renata. She's not exactly a heavy engaged champ that can look to just hard in on towards a fight as maybe Lehen's actually looking for one, but I think you're in an okay position to just continue to farm as pays with that lack of engage support.
Ooh, nice little bit of a combo damage there between Delight and Viper's piercing arrow. That serrated dirt can lead to such an annoying trading pattern in the lane because it's just so easy for him to come out on top. As Doran just doing a little bit of proxy farming, Keen needs to stay underneath the turret, farm up this big wave. Still a nice gold lead for HLE after the dive there in the bottom lane. Chovy versus Zeka back in the mid lane. Zeka is hitting that first break point on the stacking already so far. Pretty easy to hit that one. 25 giving you the AoE on the Qs to continue accelerating the speed of the farming there. Already has the first tier purchased as well after both mid laners have used that first TP, so wants to make sure that he's getting that stacked up as quickly as possible, spamming out all those abilities, making sure that you're constantly moving as quickly as possible towards those larger breakpoints.
With the experience lead for Canyon, we're looking already at the Void Grubs. He can go Krugs over here towards it. And since bottom lane, they've actually kept both Delight and Viper down there for HLE. It really does seem like, well, even though they're actually getting the push, Lehen's is already halfway up the river, so Lehen's is kind of deciding right now.
I think it's taking a Void Grub against Canyon 6 as well.
Well, yeah, which way Lehen's wants to go. So I think Lehen's is doing a good job kind of hovering here. He could go to either. And Canyon jumping on these Void Grubs. He does have his smite ready, so could get his level 6 immediately.
Yup, and there it is. Canyon, level 6, first grub already down, Peanut retreating.
I just love what they did there. You know, Lehen's hovering in the river, in the fog of war, as the wave is slowly pushing into them. They're not really concerned about it. Canyon finishes up the Krugs, goes right over to those Grubs. They finish it off, and that's how you really, even though the dive bottom did cost some extra gold, you leverage experience in this game, and his experience early on to just be more impactful than gold a lot of the time.
I mean, when you think about it, a champion leveling up gets, what, 300 to 400 gold in stats? Just having the extra level, boom, you're making up for that difference in gold as long as that champion's involved in the scrap.
I feel like especially for junglers, too, and junglers like Nocturne that can then affect the rest of the map. So we'll see what he does with his first ultimate. Mr. Canyon clearing down his bottom side, so
I think he wants to go bot lane here.
Yeah. Level 1 Paranoia, not the longest range, but it's long enough. Zenith Blade to lead the engage. Lehen's starting it off as Viper still tries to escape. The cleanse ain't gonna do it. The bailout ain't gonna do it. The piercing arrow is not enough. Peanut shows up, but it's too little, it's too late. It's too good for GenG, who tie up the game 2-2.
Dude, when your jungler is ahead, oh, it feels good. Canyon's there first. Canyon's able to close the distance with his ultimate, and even though Peanut arrives late, that's just level 5 Sejuani. Great. Not really concerned, and so they get the early jump onto Viper, even with the flash, even with the cleanse. Successful move for GenG, and Canyon able to really leverage and snowball the early stages. But here's another look at the start.
A great engage from the hands. The flash Zenith Blade catches out Viper and sets him up, gets the stun as well. And Viper could have tried to use the cleanse there, but instead believed in the handshake coming through, and then I think he just couldn't quite get away after that second stun came through from the hands. And as you say, I mean, level 5 Sejuani, he's going to do nothing in this situation.
Dude, how sick of a move is Zenith Blade? Still get to go with him with his flash. So he got to go his flash distance, plus the Zenith Blade distance, plus Viper's flash distance.
It's like that part of the Toy Story, you know, where they're all running off the back of the van and they're just holding onto a rope, just following along wherever.
I'm coming too. All right, well, Canyon continues to leverage his jungle advantage into a dragon as well for GenG. It's been the story all 3 games of objectives for GenG, and dragons especially for them.
All right, GenG pushing towards top here, just continuing to try to grab as much plate money as they can. Meanwhile, Canyon, he's got the first Drake, he's got the first 3 grubs, he's got the experience lead, he's got everything Nocturne could ask for here in the early game, having a great showing in this third one of the series. The gold is back to even as Viper and Delight try to maintain control and push. Here in this bottom lane, Zeka still doing a good job, making sure that you DPS the minions equally, farm them all up with the Q, get max stacks, and he's already up to 82 of those.
Chovy now moving down to cover bot lane, though. They still want to try and get this rotation for the Grubs in a minute's time. You already obviously have Pays up here, but Lehen's is moving down. They are fully convinced Hanwha are going to go for some sort of dive with Peanut hitting level 6, but everyone from GenG hiding on the map. waiting for Peanut to show himself.
Yeah, Pay's hiding all right, deep in that alcove. He's getting ready for some sneaky plays. We'll see. Once you get the Blade of the Ruin King for the Twitch, then you really become a menace, making everybody worry about your positioning. Every moment that you stay hidden, like this comp from GenG just puts so much like mental pressure on you.
Yeah.
Everybody worried about the picks.
I feel like there's so many champions we say that about. Yeah, once you get Blade of the Ruin King, you're good, dude. Just get in there.
It's a good first item.
Yeah, this seems like a pretty solid item. If it synergizes with your champion, I feel like that champion's doing pretty good. Anyway, even gold between the teams now. 15 seconds until the second set of the Void Grub spawns. GenG only needs to take a single grub to get the Void Might spawns, but of course, if you can get all 6, it just feels fantastic. Peanut is the first one up here in that Herald, Baron, Grub, whatever you want to call it, pit. However, GenG will be sending more troops real soon, with Pays farming up underneath the tier 1, as you do have lane control up there for the combo of Delight and Viper. Down in bottom lane, Chovy versus Doran really shouldn't turn into a whole lot, I wouldn't think. Both of these two have unleashed teleports ready to go to join any fight that might break out here in the top side. It's a 4-man move from HLE. They're going to be the first to commit here to this river. If Canyon can steal away even a single grub, that's all they need. He flies into the middle of everybody. The solar flare coming down over the top, but Canyon is already dead. A nice hostile takeover fired back in, but Viper now dies as Pays takes him out. Lehens drops to Doran, and Peanut has to flash back over the wall. Chovy has finally joined, and Doran has to try to get away, but a double kill back over to the Twitch. He is hiding no longer, and GenG, they'll go 2 for 2 with HLE, but the grubs are still on the menu, and they're looking good for GenG.
It looks so good to start off with from Hanwha. Delight, a terrific ultimate across the team, buying that space for Viper, and even with the teleport quicker from Doran, it nearly went their way, but GenG, they outplay on the fight, and it's a double kill for the Twitch.
Twitch, Pays getting so rich off this play, and the reason it looks good at the beginning is because they also started before Pays is even there, a couple of seconds, so that means Canyon down already, and as you say, the Renata ultimate going over the other two, but once Pays does arrive, he just burns the back line, and he annihilates them as everyone's trying to get away. He was able to grab that red buff, and then continually double burn them down, that plus the poison, and now you are in a situation where you have all of the Void Grubs, all 6 of them, plus you got the early Dragon as well. It is, again, just so much objective control for GenG, plus the huge threat of all the money going into the Twitch, who just funded that Blade of the Ruin King we've been dreading.
And for Doran, I could understand where his head was at. Was like, hey, if I go hyper-aggressive on towards Chovy in that bot lane, he can't TP to the fight. I'm about to go mini-Gnar. I haven't got that Mega Gnar available for this next fight. And as he TP'd in, he just wasn't as big of a factor as you traditionally would expect from a Gnar in those engages, and GenG do a really good job. And as you say now, Twitch 3-0. I wanted to see this game blow open early, and GenG have done exactly that by getting this Twitch so far ahead.
Okay, so the interesting thing I'm looking at here, nearly synced up timers. Whenever we have this state in a game of League of Legends, I'm always so curious as to how the teams are going to play it out. Because Rift Herald's a big one. Everybody always loves fighting over the Herald, but that Drake is going to be spawning just 10 seconds prior. Do you bother committing for the Drake if you know your opponents are going to just zerg the Herald? That's what I want to see.
I do.
Okay.
I'm taking that Drake every day of the week. That is mine. I'm going to keep stacking, because then you think
like a true jungler.
You think about what it's going to do for you in a little bit of the long term, not the immediate future. Like, okay, fine, you know, if a Herald is going to like get you an outer tower or something, but the Drake is going to give you the possibility of drawing the opponents out onto the map, where then you get to use Nocturne, Twitch, Ahri, Aurora for all of this pick potential, Leona even.
Oh, dude.
Like, yeah, look, you can't go anywhere on the map. It's going to be somebody from GenG jumping out.
Canyon has
Oh,
ult.
no. Yeah, Canyon's about to
Mega Gnar, though.
It's a good rush.
Yeah, Mega Gnar saves in there. You just cast the wall up, transform immediately on the spot. If that Narbar would have been just even slightly shy of it, that is an easy kill for Canyon. But very fortunately for Doran, he gets away from it, stays alive to see another day, as GenG, again with control of the mid lane, going to push that wave up, rotate into the bot side river, rotate towards the Drake that Kobe's talking about. You want to use to bait them into these open fights. First turret dropping at the same time. You can see the information on the top top of your screen as we just now crest the moment where the turret plates are gone. It's a 5-3 plate advantage for HLE, but GenG pretty much making up for that difference in golden plates by grabbing the first turret 30 seconds before HLE can respond in the top lane with Zeka's Smolder, and now the second Drake goes the way of GenG as well with the gold dead even, and Zeka at just past that second breakpoint here, 145, only needed 125 for that second transform, so still stacking forward, and I feel like he's going to need to hit that ASAP to make sure they're staying on pace with this scaling Twitch.
Yeah, certainly is. I mean, going with the Sojin for the super cooldown reduction, so you can just try and stack there. As well, HLE, again, we mentioned it last time, but when they are down on the map, they're usually going to just instantly not try and waste time and go for their counterplay on the other side. And they're like, fine, we'll take our consolation prize, we'll get that top tower, we'll keep ourselves competitive in gold at least, we'll try and build ourselves up so that at least we can have the hope of our dream comeback fight. And this time around, it actually might be Delight being at the center of it again, in a sense that you kind of saw at the Grub fight, where it's a kite backwards into some counter engage, and Renata Ultimate has the possibility of being huge. But it is really hard to cover all of the angles that this GenG comp can come at you from, since they can literally come at you from 360 degrees with their mobility and with the invisibility gems. And so as the map opens up and those outer turrets go down, you really do have to cover 360 degrees with all of your wards, like warding every flank and trying to clean out all the GenG vision and trying to mark every single champion on the opponent's squad. And so you keep yourself competitive in gold for HLE, and then you try and have that big team fight for yourselves to blow up in the game again and show they can do it.
And I think a lot of that relies on having the DPS behind Delight's wave, which is going to be from Zeka in this regard. And he needs to be in the side lanes farming. So I'm curious now if GenG try to start hitting on towards wherever Zeka is on the map, just putting him behind. You could already see Canyon was sitting down towards that bottom side with Keen, but now with Hanwha opening up on mid with this Rift Herald, everyone in GenG is coming across, even Pays.
Ooh, Glacial Prison, not going to find a whole lot. You can see they threw it out. They wanted to see if they could catch Pays by surprise there because the mom summoned up too. But considering it just barely misses, there's not a whole lot of punish. And that's two big spells down for HLE. So don't be expecting them to do a whole lot more until those cooldowns are back.
And that Herald really well defended by GenG as well. So now you get to go back out onto, hey, we're pushing sides. We're trying to play for these picks, trying to make things very awkward for Hanwha on the map. And with 2.5 minutes until Dragon, there's plenty of moments to get push out, maybe shift over towards that top side, or even again look for these plays on towards the overexposed Smolder, who's just down on this bottom side. Like, even look at where Peanut is on the map. All he wants to do is sit here beside this Smolder to guarantee that Zeka can farm without being under any sort of duress.
And I think there's a lot of pressure on Peanut's shoulder to be the difference maker in this game. Frontline for HLE, they have the possibilities to completely disrupt the GenG game plan. Him and Doran, especially when both of them have their flashes ready, have the possibility to set up their team for success. And you see a lot of their vision invested on the top half of the map with all those control wards. Maybe, there's some sort of like flank route or something there for them to get a little bit of jump towards mid. But currently, GenG, they just focus on the other side of the map. Again, always way far ahead of objective spawning. They go so deep, set up their vision, try and keep their Dragon priority alive and keep that threat building.
Okay, so GenG might have Dragon priority in the traditional sense that we think of those words, but Zeka and the rest of HLE's Dragon priority is on these last 30 stacks that they need. He is getting so close to the 225 breakpoint, and I feel like when they hit that, that might be when we get to see HLE punch back a little bit. That might be when we get to start to see what you were talking about earlier with this stronger front line that still has some artillery behind it that could force GenG into an uncomfortable fight.
But GenG have done such a good job this series of continuously stacking Drakes to deny those opportunities for Hanwha to like scale or find ways to open up on the map and trade up in favor of getting Zeka this gold. And again, with this is an Inferno Soul. GenG have high rolled to all hell with the souls they managed to get this day. But it does mean that you have to fight them and you have to come at them. And for GenG, I think you're pretty happy with that, because look at this Smolder, the second item not even completed. We should have it on reset, but it's also a build that comes on much later because you haven't gone for that Triforce to try and hit that breakpoint in the mid game.
And Pays also already has the Hurricane here, so the Twitch just gets to melt multiple targets from a very safe distance with the ultimate, and kind of leverage the Nocturne vision even more, because you can just be so far out of reach of opponents that you end up getting to free fire in these team fights. And we'll see GenG once again. Here they go. They set up way ahead of time and see if they can get the advantage. HLE though, looking to fight back. They've got the brute force. They get their mid lane push first before transitioning into River. I would definitely like for Peanut to be with the rest of the squad here though. Yeah, there we go. Get yourself a tankier member on the front line. And here we go.
Pays is still creeping around on the Twitch. Wants to make sure he can get that chance to open up. Keen will be the last one to join the rest of GenG here in the bot side River. The Gnar separated from the rest of the team. Doran's about to transform back from Mega Gnar. This is not a good state for HLE to try to go in for a fight. They wanted to try to grab Lehens. There's the handshake with Mom over the top, and Zeka gets the first kill. They're trying to go between worlds. Kanan's in the front of everybody, and Pays is free firing. The kills start coming in for both sides. Make it 3 for Pays. 2 of them picked up by Chovy, though, as Peanut and Zeka try to get away. A triple for Chovy, and Peanut's the last man standing. Chovy cleans them up. A quadra kill for the GenG mid.
Keen is putting the fish in the barrel for Pays and Chovy to knock them down. GenG wanted one fight, and my God, did they get it.
They certainly did. They get the dragon and they get the smolder. So both dragon's flowers, everything taken care of, including 2 turrets afterwards. It's insane how much they get off this. But Pays, I want to highlight, around the top, flanks on the Twitch. So even though Lehens is down, as you say, Aurora ultimate groups them up, and Pays opens up from the top side, out of vision of the enemy team. Nocturne ultimate goes off, and Chovy just going free and rampant here on the Ahri, chases them all down, gets the last little bit of the kill here for the quadra on his Ahri. Reset after reset.
I mean, this has to feel good for GenG. The revenge for the finals in the LCK, but heartbreak coming through from the Hanwha coaches. Just having this moment where you can fight back when it was supposed to be yours, and Hanwha came out and snuck it away from you. GenG have a lot to prove here against them today.
Yeah, and I like what they've shown. They've committed to this core of Nocturne turning out vision. You know, Canyon being a real strong point person for the double AP carries that they lock in over and over and over again. And I really like the execution as well, as Chovy gets a little bit frisky with the mid lane here.
Well, Viper tried to catch him with the Chains of Corruption, since that's already down, and Chovy already had to use the ulti to escape it. He feels fine trying to scrap with the rest of the cooldowns, as Canyon and Lehens have to try to get away now. They try to flash out to survive the Glacial Prison. Pays is firing into everybody, but he's finally caught. Zeka kills him. GenG has overextended, and they are punished for it.
Doran, huge with the Gnar there. He's not going to let that happen again. To go straight for Pays, knocks him in. They get to Keen down, Pays down. Hanwha Life not going to go out without a fight.
This Runan's Twitch, though, still got the damage done. That could have potentially been Hanwha turning over towards the Baron, but blinking health bars on Viper, on Delight, on so many of these Hanwha's members means that, yes, it's some kills, but you don't get the objective afterwards.
And look at the timing window here, because it is very close. Pays is there, he is waiting, he wants to open up, he sees all these abilities used, he's like, there's no Sejuani ultimate, and boom, Keen comes in, but Doran says, not on my watch. And they instantly shut them both down. And like you're saying, a couple more autos, boom, the whole team is just destroyed right there. So again, the instant turn to immediately go for both of them. Flash used from Doran, but that was a very worthwhile flash.
The way that it looked, 1 auto kills 2 of them, and then there's not even enough for the remaining 3 guys to fight. It would have been a total wipe. Absolutely clutch to not let Pays get away with that. HLE doing everything they can to try to stay within striking distance in this game that, just like the first 2, GenG has been in charge of so far.
So our gold difference, powered by AWS, seeing the split here and the way the last ones have gone. This one, of course, as you guys keep on mentioning, that possibility of Smolder continuing to stack up. A lot invested there, but a Nocturne ult on him.
Yep, Canyon has found his target here with Zeka's Smolder. Mom summoned. Maybe it would have been enough to save him just from Nocturne, but not from the backup, too. Keen will be the one to take the kill as Pays also provides additional damage. GenG now with a 5v4 for the next 30 seconds.
Mom not going to save you from these bullies.
No.
They finish the job there. Smolder down, stops the stacking for now as well. Meanwhile, this map just is so hard for HLE to play, again, because there is so much of a possibility of these GenG 360-degree flanks coming from anywhere. You really have to have towers to help defend and control wards to help defend your movements. So anybody that's out like that on a side lane, that's a very repeatable thing we just saw, and that's why we keep hyping up this GenG map play available with this comp.
And when Zeka gets 360 no-scope 30 seconds before Dragon's out, he needs to TP back out onto the map, because otherwise GenG just get to pull the trigger once more. 8 seconds until Canyon's here. Zeka not out on the map. Even Doran's resetting. He just went mega too, so needed to clear out the way, but it means that coming into this, Hanwha have to buy time before this Nara can have an impact. No flash available as well to try and threaten Pays.
Okay, so the rapid fire cannon being completed for Zeka, I think is really big. Allows him to try to poke at these guys a little bit before the hard commit comes out for GenG. But it's so scary since Pays can always be anywhere, everywhere, all at once. Not a good place to have to try to defend against. Canyon getting caught initially there by the Glacial Prison. Loses about half HP, but not close enough to death to force him all the way back.
To buy time, though, for Doran to get that Narbar filled up. Wants to try and get on towards the backline. Pays in a very good spot, though, between all these members of GenG.
Yeah, Lehens wanted to go in there with a Zenith Blade, but he ain't going to find the angle. Doran ready to transform. Narbar charged. Gets charmed, though. Snot Bubble hits Lehens. There goes Mom. A little bit more damage might do it, and Viper grabs the kill. The Drake also secured by HLE. Beautiful start of the fight so far, as Chovy can't get anything else done. No charges left in the Spirit Rush. HLE played that wonderfully.
The poke is beautiful from HLE, and Viper finds the final snipe there to take down Lehens. They get the dragon, they deny a dragon's soul, and they deliver again on this series.
And this is why I think as this game starts to go on, it becomes more and more difficult for GenG to play. You don't really have a very tanky front line that can immediately go into a Mega Gnar, into Peanut. Delight also being able to buy space. It means you can play for these backline threats with the Varus poke, the Mom ultimate across the top. It makes it difficult for GenG to find these openings for Pays if they're not on the objective first.
And you don't get time to just stand around there at the fight, because we saw how much damage the poke is going to do. You're going to lose out, win percentages very quickly with every skill shot that's going to land on you, every little bit of poke damage. So the decisions have to be instantaneous to go for.
Zeka approaching 300 stacks here, gets away from the charm, but Pays has already opened up on Viper. Now you got to be careful, because Delight is about to die too, and Doran's caught between worlds. Chovy and Canyon ready to follow up as the Gnar can't transform in time. Flashing away with the Sterix gauge active, throws a boulder right back to him. Peanut still looking for maybe an angle as Mom comes in, but Chovy's going to be protected by the shield. HLE lose their AD carry, but nothing more.
Hanwha protecting Doran there was crucial, because that would have been GenG turnover to Baron. May still look for it as a TP comes back in.
Yup.
Zeka needs to teleport back into this equation to make things more even for Hanwha.
The teleport seals the deal. Baron's the target. GenG already got it down to about half. Doran here on the front line. Baron at 6k HP. HLE piling in. Lehens tries to get away. Doran still at about half HP now as Peanut has to fully escape. Arctic Assault backwards.
It's
Baron
so low.
still aggroed at 3,000. Doran still trying to transform. He needs to go into Mega Gnar. Peanut's behind the wall into the pit, but the Baron's going to be secured by Canyon. Now HLE trapped between a wall and an enemy team. Canyon gets the kill on Doran, and Chovy goes over looking for a little bit more. They want to kill the Smolder, and Zeka pops. They all drop, and it looks like the hopes are done, dead and gone for HLE. GenG with a home run.
Oh, Canyon clutches the smite, and then Chovy clutches the team fight. Here's another look at how low they get. Poked again inside this Baron pit. Lehens is forced to flash away, and you can see it burning down there, so close to execute range. Baron trying to finish him off too, and then Chovy still full HP on the Ahri. He moves up, and he actually puts so much pressure on the less of the DPS of Hanwha that Canyon is allowed to stay in. on the Baron Smite. He secures it, and then Chovy goes in with the rest of his charges to finish it off. What a duo there. Really clutch on the Baron fight, even with all the extra damage that had been received by the rest of GenG members. They pull it off.
The flash from Canyon was so sick as well, because it gets him out of the pit. Right for Doran. I like that. He just, please tell me I'm seeing this correctly. We did come out on top. But yes, GenG outplaying in the moment, and now a Baron up a 4,000 Red Bull Baron power play. And a minute and a half until Seoul. They just get to keep pushing in these waves, push Hanwha into their own base, and then fall back and collect another prize. And that has to be the nail in the coffin for Hanwha in this series.
I gotta respect Hanwha for fighting back, for making this as close as they have. But GenG just showing the level of coordination. They know they can trust in Canyon to land those smite secures. They can put themselves in these spots where they're unafraid of HLE's challenge. Even though they've got this level 16 Smolder, even though he's got 325 stacks, FaZe's Twitch 6, 1, and 5. Highest kill participation of anyone on the team. Yes, it's only by 1, but it's still first place. He's doing great.
And that's the thing, we focused a lot on like Canyon and Chovy in that fight, but it was FaZe who assassinated Viper, who got him caught out with Canyon to start off that play that set this whole rigmarole in motion. And it's FaZe that has really been stepping up on this Twitch to find those clutch moments. And Hanwha, you can tell they just aren't used to playing against that potential invisible threat just lurking in the darkness.
FaZe, a rat all along. Able to jump out, make a clutch pick. He's one of us. All right, can they close it though here? GenG now with massive lead.
Oh, HLE walks way too close to the brush, and there's no way out for Delight with Renata down. That's your big anti-engage mechanism. That's your chance to try to turn it around if GenG jump on you, and he's out of the picture. It's an easy Infernal Soul, no contest. This goes over to GenG now, and I feel like Hanwha's chances have nearly completely disappeared.
Yeah, you're talking about nails in the coffin. They've got the nail gun out, and they're just spamming nail after nail after nail. Yep, that's gonna be
new Twitch coming in soon. DIY Twitch.
Another one bites the dust, and another objective here. So, who will be the next one picked? It looks right now like Doran's gonna be the next one picked.
Am I allowed to bet? Is it too late?
I think the betting window, no, the betting window is closed on this one. That is it for Doran. 50 seconds on the respawn clock. FaZe just creeping through the mid lane here, invisible, marking that ward that he just saw placed down. Rune and Suricane makes it so easy to farm up the wave as well. FaZe now with the completed Mortal Reminder should just shred every single health bar on HLE. They're pushing that top lane with Chovy right now. They still don't have a whole lot of super extra power, I guess, to work with through the Baron. It's already dissipated. The Elder's not going to spawn for another 5 minutes, but they don't really need a mega buff right now. They're ahead 8,000 gold. They've got an Infernal Soul. That's a mega buff on its own, as now the Glacial Prison immediately finds Chovy upon teleport, but the counterattack is there. FaZe is hitting everybody. He flashes, he cleanses, and he ends everybody on HLE. Exactly like we said. FaZe on the Twitch. He came into the game with 100% win rate on it. He's going to leave the game with 100% win rate on it. GenG is going to show HLE that the finals are not the rule, but they are the exception. This squad has controlled the Korean League of Legends scene for a damn long time, and they're showing that they're looking to keep that rolling in Worlds as they punch their ticket to the quarterfinals.
The golden road might have been paused, but GenG want to make sure Hanwha know that they still deserve to be on top when it comes to the world stage.
Incredible showing from GenG, getting some revenge against HLE for the LCK finals. Desk, what are we thinking?
We're just as excited as you are, by the way.